Broads Media.
Who the hell enjoyed that one? Jeez. Yo, Stubbies. You got like a 45 ERA right now? Whoa. Welcome on in, everybody. If you are new to the channel, hello, I'm Broach. We talk Philadelphia sports every day here, very emotionally. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. You can also find me on Apple Podcast and Spotify by searching Sports Talk with Broads. If you can leave a 5-star rating and a review there, it will truly help the algorithm, so thank you so much. And lastly, Coffee with Broads live streams happen twice a week right here on YouTube. And the way to get access is by checking out the information down below and joining the memberships here on YouTube. You also will get access to our Discord channel. It's super fun. Can't thank you all enough for the wild support, and enjoy the show. Yikes. Yikes. 18-3. How the hell did you lose the series to Oakland? As soon as they swept the Dodgers, I claimed you had nothing to worry about because this group was different than groups in years past. And I still believe that's true, even though I watched the A's come into your ballpark and do something that teams just don't do. This was the first home series loss since April 3rd. So we haven't seen this basically all year long. I have to imagine this is more of a fluke than anything else. I'm not hitting any sort of panic button. I'm not worried. They are dealing with some things that do raise concerns, and I'll throw them out throughout the program here. Ranger Suarez. Sir Anthony Dominguez. Bryson Stott. But in regards to how the hell do you lose 18-3, I got nothing wrong with maybe crumbling this one up, putting it through the shredder, and then dropping it off at the dump. I mean, 18-3? That's not normal. I mean, Brent Rooker, during a tryout weekend, goes banana land. You got, who else was it? Who hit the 3? Butler? Oh, my God. Butler's pimping home runs and admiring it like no other. He should have got plunked. Now, of course, it didn't make sense for him to get plunked due to the timing and situation of the game, but I would have plunked his ass. Don't pimp a home run like that on my fucking field. And then Brown had 2 home runs. And then don't forget about the Garrett Stubbs pitching in the 9th. Please, can we get through this game without any sort of rain delay? The last thing I want to experience is having to sit around for 2.5 hours for them to finish 3 outs when they're down 15 runs. If I was Rob, and hypothetically speaking, the league stepped in and said, we're putting the tarp down, I'm saying, tell them to stop. Well, actually, no, they could still put the tarp down. My point is, I'm waving the white flag. We're not doing this. I'm not wasting my time. Wrap it up. We're not going to score 15 runs in the bottom of the 9th. I actually thought when they cracked into the lead and made it 7-3, when you watched how bad Oakland was, Bryson Stott gets a sac fly. Nobody knows where to go. The ball's getting thrown to third base. That's scoring 2 runs. You're down 7-1. You make it 7-3. Maybe that could have been the potential turning point. But instead, 18-3! What an idiot I am! I thought that could be the switch the other way. Instead, 18-3! What? I mean, you can't even make that stuff up. I did Final Out tonight on WIP, and I got a call throughout the show from a man named Steve, and Steve is a great caller, but what he brought up made me laugh a little bit. So here is his thought. Because the Phillies got rid of Whit Merrifield over the weekend, and this is a very close group. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but the Phillies did him dirty. The Phillies botched the Whit Merrifield stuff. meaning not so much botched it by giving him $8 million and asking him to be a part of this utility core. No, botched it meaning they should have kept him and rode the wave, and part of the reason why this team is so special is because of their bond. And I'm not discrediting that. There is real, legitimate truth to knowing that they will go to war for one another and they will fight for one another. That is true, and that is a big part of winning DNA, and this Phillies group has it. Yes. But Bryce knows this is a business. Kyle Schwarber's been around how long? All right, he's been traded here and there and playing this spot, that spot. You know, the Boston Red Sox and the Nationals. And my point is, it's a business. And as great of a baseball man Whit Merrifield is, after 90-plus games of action on a team where we are trying to win a World Series now, if Dave Dombrowski, who is a very respected president, and everybody understands that that dude is a G, and he decides it's time to part ways with Whit, look, I gave him every chance possible. All he had to do was just a little bit better, and maybe we're not even having this discussion, even though a little bit better would still be severely underwhelming. But compared to what he provided, nothing. He's been a nothing burger. So overall, my point is, Bryce knows that Whit was giving a long leash. And it kicks some sense of urgency into some others. You don't think there's a correlation between maybe the move that Dave made and why Rojas is playing as strong as he is? I do. I think that there's some fear that since the front office is moving with some urgency and with some piss and vinegar and willing to be aggressive and knowing they're trying to upgrade the outfield bats, he rose to the occasion defensively, making plays that he only makes in this series. He actually even filtered in a damn home run, too. Not that I think his offense is going to be good enough. If I'm projecting the Rojas stuff, he might make some plays defensively, but the 9-hole hitter does matter in the playoffs. And if it's going to be as bad as last year was in the playoffs, there's no way that I could have him playing center field every day. I will take the payoff of a less defender with actual reasonable offense. And, you know, I'm just thinking that, fine, Rojas has been able to show some speed and done some things here. But, you know, if I'm trying to win a World Series, I'm sure I got to upgrade Rojas. I'd put Marsh in center field every day and have Brent Rooker taking the nod out in left field. Now, it won't be pretty. By hitting 280 and on pace to hit 40 bombs, that matters. And I'll take the lesser defense. Use Rojas for late game situations, maybe even pinch running situations, but he can't be getting 3 at-bats a game. It's not okay. And last year showed me that you can't just rely on all your top bats and pretend like that 9-hole hitter won't pop up when it's the moment. Every game, for the most part, especially one-run games and big playoff games, they have a swing moment. And I just witnessed that swing moment landing on Rojas. You never know who it's gonna end up on. It could be Bryce. It could be Trey. Well, I watched it be Rojas last year, and I can't have that happen again. So I don't know why Rojas sort of caught some stray here. I didn't really plan for that to happen. But I'm just telling you how I feel here as we sit at the break. And as much as Rojas has been doing well, and I'm giving him credit because it does seem like since that AAA stint, he came in here with a purpose, and he's been playing well for all things considered. But when I'm trying to win a championship, you could be playing well in your own individual right, but we still need improvement if we're trying to win the Commissioner's Trophy. This isn't about allowing him to grow and go up those ups and downs, or go through those ups and downs, I should say, and really trying to learn through experience. I'm trying to go win. Brent Rooker, outfield, let's go. You see what you're talking 450, right? Not just 400, 450. Listen to this stat. courtesy of Paul Casella of MLB. Brent Rooker is just the 7th player in the last 10 seasons of StatCast tracking to hit multiple 450-foot homers in the same game, and 2 of the previous 6 happened in Colorado, where the ball is going to fly at will. So that's what he was. You don't think that he entered CBP on a mission? You don't think that he was listening maybe to 50 Cent, listening to some Future, something that'll get him going when he's going to the ballpark? No, when Dave's watching with the Howie Roseman binoculars up in those club boxes, there is a real stare down happening. There's a real focus. There's a real, I'm going to pay attention to this guy even extra. And he's giving you, 2 that are over 450 in one game. That's in one game. He fits the brand. He fits the DNA. He does. He is what Phillies baseball is with this lineup. And I'd put him right behind Bryce. And that's not any bat that you get at the deadline, obviously. I actually really like the idea of Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Alec Bohm being your top 4 hitters. If you get something as special as Brent Rooker, then yes, you have to put him behind Bryce. Dude, Trey Turner and Brent Rooker, and sandwiched in between is Bryce Harper. That is deadly. That is so good. It's so good. My fear would be they love Rojas so much that they keep him planted in center field, and then they platoon a Brandon Marsh and a Rooker in left field based off of who's starting. And that would be upsetting to me. If Dave Dombrowski comes out of this with a platoon guy, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. Now is the time to push all of your chips in. And this is why I keep having a debate with myself, but ultimately coming up with the idea that if you have to trade one of Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, you can't not make a big splash. You can't hold back now because of Aiden Miller. And here's the reality of it. If this organization is going to build sustainability the way that we project Dave to do so, what makes you better than other franchises is you always have prospects. We got to get over the mentality of we never have anybody and we're so thin. No. All right, you trade Aiden Miller, now you got Crawford. You trade Crawford, the next guy's coming in. You got to keep this thing moving. And you got to get guys. You see this with the Yankees, whether it's Volpe, whether it's the Spencer Jones. He's the kid now. There's another one in the outfield that they called up at the end of last season. I'm not sure exactly where he falls this year with everything, but my point is you should be able to be so great that your team is super competitive. You're able to add at the deadline utilizing assets and still keep refreshing your system and your prospect pool with more. That some you keep and some you trade. Now, ideally, I would want it to be Justin Crawford as the sexy, shiny toy in the trade. And then from there, you can maybe build a nice package. And I wouldn't even be against putting Johan Rojas in a deal to keep Aiden Miller and Andrew Painter. And yes, I do need to see what the outcome is in return and who the result would be coming back to Philadelphia before I throw these high-profile prospects names out there. But I'm just telling you, I can't just keep limiting myself on what can they do. Well, what if you have to give up this? And what if you want Luis Robert? And what if you want this guy? I can't hold myself back. Now is the time. This isn't any year. All right, it's not any year. You are the best team in all of baseball. Your run differential shits on the rest of the league, and this is even an 18-3 type of effort, and that doesn't happen. So you have that. You look at the National League teams, it's you being 28 games above 500. Yes, the Dodgers are nicely in there as well. After that, the Milwaukee Brewers is the next best National League team that's sitting at about 12 games over 500. After that, that it's the Braves that are about 10 games over 500. And I know the record doesn't tell the full story, because if you get hot at the right time, as we've seen the Phillies do in the wild card rounds over the last couple of seasons, then it is what it is, and you can still make a special run. I've witnessed it with my own team. So it is very possible. This is when you have to be uber aggressive. This is the team. It makes so much sense. Sometimes presidents do it a year too early. Maybe they do it a year too late. Maybe they're trying to salvage some stuff, as we're watching with the Sixers, trying to salvage the Joel Embiid run. So you make certain decisions. Sometimes that happens. But this team, this is the right time. So I'm fascinated to see what Dave Dombrowski does. Does he snag Mason Miller too? Nonchalantly throwing 103, followed by 104, followed by 104, followed by 102. This guy's ludicrous. If you could find a way to snag him and Rooker, I'd go dancing naked. Swear to God. I'd go dancing naked. Pour White Claws all over my body. That would be a hell of an addition. That's a full swing at it. Do I expect both? No. But would I be surprised if Dave does it? No. Because he reads the room the same way I do. Look, it sucked to have to pitch Mercado again. You go with the Orion, the Kerkering move to start things off. He actually had a pretty impressive first inning, throwing 11 pitches and getting up and down. Matt Strahm had a good day out of your pen, too. But other than that, it was a nightmare. Mercado, 4 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 3 guys walked. Sir Anthony, 1 in the third, 4 earned runs and a walk. We need Sir Anthony Dominguez to figure it out. All right, we need him. We do need Sir Anthony Dominguez. We also need Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez has a dead arm. You could watch him nibble around the strike zone in the first game Friday night. I did not think they were going to lose this series. Now, maybe after game 1 and then game 2 occurred, they were doing some good stuff in game 2. The ball was moving. Nick Castellanos had a good day. A lot of guys had a good day. He started to tear the cover off the ball. It was good, solid stuff. Even with Mercado going, I'm thinking, all right, you squeeze by. Doesn't really matter about how. Just at least grab 2 wins and win another home series, and then we'll head into the break. But how did you fail like this? How did you flop this miserably? Imagine spending money on that game, only getting to go to maybe 1 or 2 games a year. You pick a game, it's the A's. You think they're going to win. It'll be fun. You'll hear the bell ring. The kids will have a blast. It'll be a lot of scoring. Yeah, it's a lot of scoring, all right, for the wrong damn team. Ranger Suarez was nibbling away, though. And maybe we'd be having a different discussion if the Phillies offense could actually hit that day. They got walked so much. Walked way too much to not have enough run production following that. Trey Turner was still red piss hot. Sure, let's go with that. Hot, man, hot. We can't even talk about the home run on Sunday afternoon because, unfortunately, that's not the story. But Trey Turner is a monster. He's a monster. Oh, it doesn't make any sense. Sir Anthony Dominguez's ERA going into the All-Star break, 4.76. Ew. Here's another update on the Phils. This is courtesy of Corey Seidman. Sounds like Zach Wheeler's first start after the All-Star break will come in Minnesota, not the first series in Pittsburgh. Also not 100% locked that JT is back for the first game after the All-Star break. Rain this weekend could push back some of his rehab. That was tweeted out on the 12th, so that was a couple of days ago. So maybe it's some version of Phillips. I think I wrote it down somewhere. Some version of Phillips, Sanchez, depending on his usage rate in the All-Star game, and Aaron Nola in Pittsburgh. And then we'll get an update on Ranger and Wheeler for the Minnesota series after that. Dead arm is no joke, though. And if you remember, there was a lot of talk the year they went to the World Series about Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler having dead arm because, well, they got tired. They got fatigued, and it ended up having to push Zach Wheeler back sometimes, and it was a day-by-day case, and you had to see how he felt every single time he took the mound and how he felt after certain sessions, how he felt about his arm after training getting stretched out. It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. There was a lot to it. So we had on, Jody Mack and I filled in for the midday show about a week ago, and we had on Ryan Spilborghs, who played in the major leagues for a couple of years with the Colorado Rockies, more than a couple of years. He had a nice stint there, and then he does some Apple TV broadcast, and something he didn't really, or something he brought up that I didn't really think about, and I'm not sure if I told this on this show or if it was somewhere else, but he mentioned that something that concerns him is just the amount of innings that specifically Nola and Wheeler have eaten over the last couple of years combined, and how that might play a role in the second half. And I never really gave it that much time or thought, just because I was so excited for how well the Phillies were doing. And when Rangers started to really struggle over his last few starts, that sort of re-triggered in my mind, and I went, maybe there was something to that. You know what I mean? All right, let's take some calls here and run to the Anytime hotline. Let's do it. Let's hear from you.
Hey, bros. How's it going? I am calling during the game, but it's only because I got to go back into work and won't get a chance to say my piece otherwise. So here I am. Probably going to lose this one. If we don't, that's freaking awesome, but probably going to lose this one. And I just got to say, I get the mentality of wanting to chill out and not go too hard coming into the All-Star break so everybody can be healthy coming back, especially since JT Realmuto is going to be back soon. We're going to have a full healthy lineup for the most part, except for maybe a starting pitcher. But at the same time, these games do count. They matter. And worse yet, these were games against the Oakland Athletics, who frankly are an abysmal team with barely any bright spots. And every bright spot they get, they want to trade away. These games, these are wins that matter, because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer by any means, but if we get into the second half of the season, we start struggling against the better teams, which is possible, we're going to look back on this Oakland series and be like, those were games we should have won. So I don't like missing out on the opportunity, because these are games that should be W's, or at least we should have gotten an extra W out of it.
That's fair. That's fair to bring up that these should have been wins, at least having another win on the board. And yeah, sometimes you miss out on an opportunity. I guess my only rebuttal would be, I've never seen a team, even the greatest teams of all time, I've never seen them not have a bad series in the regular season. The Atlanta Braves are up 2-0 against the Arizona Diamondbacks in a 4-game set. Then it becomes 2-2. You'd think that they'd be aggravated with not taking 3 out of 4. And splitting a series on the road is not essentially the same as maybe dropping a series to a bad A's team. But if you think of it like this, they haven't lost a series at home since April. So you would think majority of the time there's more series losses filtered in there. Wouldn't you rather take April 3rd and this and winning all the bunches that are mixed and sandwiched in between? Or would you rather have won this series but then drop a different one at home and drop maybe 2 at home instead of winning out the way that you did in those middle stages? So, it is what it is. I'm not happy about it. I'm mad about it. They're not good. The A's are very, 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 very bad. But you know what? It got so ugly, and bear with me. I don't know if this makes sense or not, but it makes sense to me. Once the score gets 18-3, that is so irrational, and that is so pathetic, and that is so wild that you almost go, well, that's not normal. That's just one of those what games. If you were to lose 6-3, if you were to lose 5-3, if you were to lose 5-4 in devastating fashion, you were right there and then said, come on, man, you struck out in the third when you had bases loaded, or come on, you popped up with a stupid, silly at-bat. Like Bryson Stott is one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen in my life, and I watch Nick Castellanos bat every single day. So you know how ugly it is when he's swinging at pitches that are, you look at the framework on the apps, and it's touching his ankle and he's striking out on 3 straight ugly pitches. That's gross. It's bad. It's bad. It's unacceptable. And if you're losing 6-4 and that's the at-bat when there's bases loaded in the 6th, then yeah, it's a little bit more aggravating because it was there for the taking. But losing 18-3 and to see guys, you have two guys hit 2 home runs each, and then Butler hits 3 home runs himself. Then there's a grand slam off your backup catcher. What? It was such an outlier experience that it almost makes it easier to throw away in the trash. I listened to Rob Thompson post-game, and he essentially said that this was just going to be one that you move past, but he does have a long trip that he's driving back to hometown Canada there, and he'll be thinking about this one during that drive. So I bet you it eats him alive for a couple of hours when he's driving. Once he gets home and settles down, he'll be over it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go to another call here. This was after Rangers start, for what it's worth.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I heard you in a recent podcast talk about the Phillies and how this team isn't like teams prior, and we're not going to go on a sweep of the Dodgers and then just shit the bed at home against the Athletics, and that's exactly what happened.
Whoops.
I mean, that was awful. The umpiring, don't get me wrong, the umpiring was absolutely atrocious, but the fact that our bats could not get going with, I think it was 7 walks, and we didn't make the Athletics pay for that, that's absolutely atrocious. This is not acceptable at all. This is a team that we do not lose to. There is no point in playing if you're going to get 7 walks and not be able to put at least 4 runs up on the board from it. It's completely bullshit. And then Ranger Suarez was getting out of tricky situations, dodging left and right. I mean, I don't think he pitched that bad. The umpire screwed him in situations where he could get out of. There was some fluky hits.
Yeah, but, you know, I do think that we need to be honest with ourselves. Ranger doesn't look that great right now. It wasn't too long ago that, it was Marcell Ozuna. And Marcell Ozuna went down and got a pitch. And I saw a lot of Phillies fans say, well, you can't get mad at Ranger there. You just got to tip your cap. And Ozuna's one of the only hitters that can do that. And I go, hold on a second. Yes, Ozuna has some power. But Ozuna's not Mike Trout. He's not Mookie Betts. He's not Bryce Harper. He's not Kyle Schwarber. I mean, Ozuna's a nice player, and yeah, he does have some power, but I mean, if Ozuna can do it, I could probably name you 25 to 30 power hitters that can do it. So it wasn't, wow, one guy and one guy only. It's not Shohei Ohtani, such a freak, and he's the only person on planet Earth that could ever swing the bat that well and go get a pitch no one else can. A lot of power hitters can do that, and my point is, Ranger is struggling so much, man. So much. I can't stand it right now. And I don't think it's his fault. You want to talk about the blue, fine, but that's not really my takeaway after this series. Ranger wasn't pitching with that same confidence. Believe it or not, his last start reminded me of when Aaron Nola used to nibble. He gets caught nibbling. Not so much now, but previously in his career, he was a nibbler. And Ranger almost nibbled all the way through. But the Phillies actually responded to this loss with an 11-5 win, where Nick is homering with a 2-run jack. Schwarber had a double. They were going back and forth, riding the seesaw, if you will, as Mark Zumoff would call it. And it was Rojas getting in there with the homer in the 4th, Trey getting in there with the homer in the 4th, and a lot of good at-bats. The top of your lineup was raking. Kyle with the homer, Trey with 2 hits, Bryce with 2 hits and 3 runs batted in. Bomer, Nicky C. You want to hear something crazy? Now, unfortunately, the game that followed that was so bad. You want to hear something crazy, though. And Tim Kelly of Phillies Nation tweeted this out. Alec Bohm, last season, had a career high in doubles. 31 in 145 games. So far this season, he has 33, so 2 more doubles. and he's only played 94 games so far this year. So talk about a career year. That's why, as much as I've given him crap in the past about his inability to hit a bunch of homers, this works. This works. The doubles, the runs batted in, Bryce Harper and Trey cooking in front of him, Kyle cooking in front of him. This works. This much doubles in the gap, this many, this works. I'm cool with it. I can rock with it. Let's go back to the phones.
Bunch of fucking Aaronolas out there. Listen, I don't care if it's the All-Star break. You basically said you give up when you said no Zach Wheeler, but I understand why.
Hold on a second. This man said there were a bunch of Aaronolas out there today. Oh, baby. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. But I guess Aaronola is always going to catch a stray. That's unbelievable. All right, we'll start it over. I kind of want to hear it from the top.
The fucking Aaronolas out there. Listen, I don't care if it's the All-Star break. You basically said you give up when you said no Zach Wheeler, but I understand why. Because Zach Wheeler is way more important when it matters than now.
Sure.
But you got to put somebody out there that's competent, man. Because, look, you look embarrassing. You swept Dodgers and you lose a series against the A's before the All-Star break. Let me tell you, bro. I mean, I know the Yankees are reeling. I know the Braves are not all that great, but they're injured. You better do something after the All-Star break. I mean, start going on a tear, because if not, I'm going to start questioning.
Well, to be fair, you don't think what they've done is a tear? Having the best win percentage of the entire league? Not just the National League. They have the best winning percentage since the season started through 96 games, whatever it is. You don't think that's good enough of a tear? The best win percent, no one's done it better. So that 90-game stretch was one hell of a tear. That was a tear. So, I mean, I don't know. If they don't start the second half on a tear, what if they're just who they are, which is a team that's 28 games over 500 through 90-plus games? I don't know. They don't really have many competent arms. We actually threw around just silly, stupid conversation about if they didn't have the All-Star break this week and they were forced to pitch, and Zach Wheeler's going through it, Rangers going through it, the Taiwan thing is an issue, Spencer Turnbull right now is not available, what would you do? Tyler Phillips, yes. Sanchez, yes. Nola, yes. What would you try and do? Would you have to throw Mercado just off of name? Just off of needing bodies and not the name? Maybe. Can you dive deep into the AAA pool? I don't know what else is there, but I would have never told you Tyler Phillips could do the job prior to him being able to do the job. Credit to him, by the way. I had goosebumps watching his story and seeing him hug his family and just everybody being there as he grew up as a big Phillies fan. That was ridiculously awesome. I brought up the idea of, once again, this was just stupid conversation that means nothing, that would you then have to try and maybe get 2 innings out of Matt Strahm and set yourself up for going to a 3rd inning guy in a weird bullpen game? But I wouldn't want to mess with the mojo that Strahm has done this season. We were just throwing around stupid debates that didn't mean a damn thing. And I'm thinking, oh, thank God they got this All-Star break, because without it, the injuries are starting to get a little tough, and specifically with your pitching, which has been a massive reason for all your success, is you being able to go the distance. But if you bring up the Braves and go, well, they're just not healthy right now, and you use that as almost a reason to bring up why the Braves can be a threat, well, if the Phillies are a bit injured, then why is it that the Phillies can't be good because they're going through injuries, but the Braves are a threat? They're just not a threat right now because of their injuries. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't add up to me. You're almost saying the Braves can get healthy and they will be legit, but the Phillies can't get healthy and be legit. They can only continue to be injured and never get right. I don't think you can have it both ways. So we'll see. But yes, I mean, I do think that it's a problem right now that Wheeler and Ranger are going through their struggles. And Sir Anthony's not performing. Alvarado Jose is leaking a little bit of oil. I don't call him a failure yet by any means, but he's leaking a tad bit of oil. So they need this break. And then I expect them to come out with their hair on fire. All right, everybody, those are my thoughts. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate the love, and I'll catch you all on the next one.